So then here we are for round 2 of the Core Racing GT4 and GT2 Multi-class series. Do not go anywhere, as we will be about to go live with the qualifying action. So then we are here live for the action from America here at Road America for the second round of the Core Racing and Slo-Racing GT2 and GT4 Multi-class series. Obviously this is the two classes of the GT2s and the GT4s, where the GT2s is obviously faster than the GT4s. Unfortunately, it appears that our overlay has not worked for this for today's race, which is a shame. However, it is me, Thomas Brown, in the commentary box, and we are here at Road America. It is going to be Eric Rotterdink then who's going to be the first one out, as that's a driver going backwards there in the background. That was Marjan, who was going backwards in that Porsche 911 RSR. Hopefully we'll be able to get that overlay sorted for the finish of the race, as that was a very, very sideways moment there for Eric Rotterdink. That was a very big sideways moment for him. As you see, he is now about to start his flying lap as he comes down this very fast section. See, and then as he gets hard on the brakes, so a bit of server issues there. Hence why he was pointing the wrong direction as he went round the corner. But it is Eric who will start this race. So a bit of news then in the team conversations as such. Yusuf has actually joined Josh Martin in the Thrustmaster with Pro Race UK team. So it is those two pairing up for this season. We had a word with Josh just before the race began, and he's got friends and family watching from his pit garage cheering him on, which will certainly help him obtain this pole and hopefully a race victory. As it is Eric Rotting then which is going to start his flying lap. He has got Matteo Santini in the Porsche 911 RSR just behind, with Michael Curvers opting for the 458 yet again. Alan in the Martini Porsche 911 RSR. You've then got Gasper in the C7R. Simon Goma, a driver who had a very good race last race. He's there in 6th, one of the only drivers in the M3 GT2. Mate in the C7R. You've then got Goran, Janko's teammate, who won the last round at Donington. He is there in 8th. Chris Melton in 9th and Miha Fabijin in 10th. It's actually a bit bad saying they're in their positions, as obviously it will all change. Itamar Yativ in the Repsol Ginetta GT4. Jeffrey in the Malbora Ginetta Zandtrippen. I've probably pronounced that wrong. In the Ginetta, Christhorpe, Anzi and Yusuf all in the GT4. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to be running a livery this week. Not sure whether that again is an issue on our end, or whether he's not been able to get that car painted as of yet. But that is sort of your running order currently, as we'll come to Eric, who's going to come towards the end of his flying lap as he comes round the final corner, as he now comes up the hill. What lap time will it be? It is a 2:06.7, which is a very strong lap. However, Matteo Santini and then Michael Curvers instantly beats that with a 2:05.1. Alan going up into 3rd. He obviously finished 2nd in that last race. Gasper not been able to gain many positions. Mate up into 5th with Simon into 6th. However, Chris Melton manages to jump his way up into 4th, and Miha gets up into 4th as well. So a lot of drivers changing up the positions here. Itamar then going, I was then going to say going fastest out of the Ginettas. However, Jeffrey quickly beats him and jumps into 11th. Obviously not all the GT2s have finished their flying laps, but that is him in pole position of the Ginettas, as a lot of the drivers there in the background are getting into position as they complete their flying laps. So it is Michael Curves then who currently leads the qualifying out of everyone, as he comes down into the long right-hander, a corner which is very difficult to get right at speed, because obviously the more speed you get, the more understeer, and you eventually end up pushing off into the gravel and off into the grass, where you definitely don't want to be playing, as you then have the problem of this very long sector where you don't get the best of run out and where you can lose a lot of time. Drivers reaching to about 270 kilometers there as they're about to get onto the brakes, which is very, very fast indeed. So it's going to be Michael Covers who's going to finish his lap soon, as he now rounds the final corner. Will he be able to improve on his current lap time? He has got Matteo Santini in front, who's going to try and beat Michael Curvers' time. He is now about to cross the line. He does go faster, however not enough to beat Michael Curvers. We'll have a look for any Chris Melton jumping into the pit lane. Clearly not happy with his flying lap. Mate in 9th still with a 206.942. Simon Geimer jumping back into the pit lane. You see the GT2s and the GT4s are beginning to filter back out in position now, which is obviously how it should be. It seemed to be about 10 seconds off the pace, off the qualifying pace. Darren Adams, a driver with Apex Predator Racing, he does not appear to have his teammate of Luca here this week, which is a big shame. That is not going to be very good for their team championship standings, as Darren is now about to cross the line. Will he be able to jump up the grid? No, he cannot. He does improve, however couldn't gain any positions. So a lot of the drivers aren't really climbing any positions. Josh, will he be able to improve? His best lap is 2:42, which obviously was his lap. He's in traffic currently. He goes with a 2:15.5, so not quite not quite pole position. However, he's there in 4th place. Thomas Erzen managing to jump his way up into 3rd position. Really good lap from him. See a lot of these drivers. Chris Melton then stuck in a bit of traffic. He's got Jeffrey and can't think of his name. Jeffrey and Itamar Yativ up in front. However, he's managed to get out of the way for one of, I believe it may have been Miha. Michael Curvers then about to finish his lap. What lap time can he do? He does go faster, but only 5 tenths faster. Will Matteo Santini be able to grab that pole position under Michael Curvers' feet? Mate coming off the side of the track there to go back into the pit lane. He does not improve, unfortunately, so he still sits in that 2nd position. Eric Rotterdam, can he improve? No, he cannot. He still sits in that 8th place. Hopefully we will see a big jostle of positions when they come to the end of qualifying, when they will definitely be setting in their fastest laps, so then they can't be out qualified. We'll try and have a look for any drivers that are about to finish their qualifying laps. So it looks like Brett, either Darren Adams or I believe that is Anzi are about to finish their laps. Brett, can he improve? No, he cannot. Can Anzi? Neither can he. So it is still Jeffrey who leads the Ginettas, as well as Michael leading the GT4s. With Alan actually jumps up into 2nd. Unfortunately, we missed it, and he goes with a 2:05.554. Really strong lap by him. We'll try and have a look now through the order. Hines in the yellow C7R. Strangely, it's not running the Apex Predator Racers car, so maybe that paint scheme isn't ready yet and they had to go for a backup car. Josh Martin then in 3rd position, actually, out of the Ginettas. 4 tenths off the drivers in front. Can he improve? He's got a bit of traffic of one of the C7Rs. He is on the racing line, however, as it looks like he may actually get an overtake on the C7R. No, he doesn't, which isn't good for his flying lap, as you don't want to be battling with that traffic. Matteo Santini then getting his way back up into 2nd place. Thomas Erzen sitting there in 4th. Simon Geimer in 6th. Really strong lap by him. He's actually on the medium tyres, which is quite strange. Not the grippiest tyres you can take for these. So maybe he is going for a practice race run. Gasper making his way up into 7th, taking it from under Chris's feet. However, Chris is now going to finish his qualifying lap, and will he be able to improve? No, he cannot. Jeffrey's about to cross the line as well. He still sits pole with a 21 2:14.039, 21 second lap time. That is really not that good a lap if you're doing those. So as you see, Josh then about to finish his flying lap. Yusuf actually out qualifying him. He goes up into a 2:14.4. Good lap by him. Hopefully Josh can make it a better one this time. He still needs to find 6 tenths actually if he wants to beat Jeffrey and take that pole position from him, as he now comes up the very steep hill. Can he take that pole position? He does go faster, however not enough to gain any positions. So most drivers will get either this lap and the next lap to finish the qualifying session, and we will begin to see some a lot faster times. Michael Curver's in the on pole position currently. Try and get my words right. He's now on his out lap actually, so he's going to try and set a flying lap in the next lap. Looks like this will be his final lap, as that's, I believe, Thomas Erzen in front. Yep, that will also be his final lap now. So we'll have to see where those drivers end up. Simon Geimer, can he improve on the medium tyre? No, he cannot. So he still sits in 6th, and by the looks of things he's not going to be able to set another better qualifying lap, so he's going to have to hope that any drivers around him won't be able to improve. Matteo Santini in 2nd then. He's got traffic of Josh in front there, which could hamper his lap. We have got 30 drivers here this week, which is a big improvement on last week, and it should make the racing very interesting. Darren Adams there in 26th. He's got to find basically 500ths of a second, which really isn't a lot of time. As you see on board then with Darren Adams, as he's now about to finish his qualifying lap. Will he be able to jump up the grid? He's only got to find 400, sorry. Yes, he can. He goes with a 2:15.2. Still got to find 7 tenths if he wants to beat that Scotsman of Josh Martin, as he's now about to cross the line. He's got Matteo Santini in front. Matteo doesn't improve. Josh does. He goes up into 23rd position. Really good qualifying lap by him. He out-qualifies Itamar Yativ. Yusuf then in the pit lane. That is the end of his qualifying, and Josh has got to find 4 tenths if he wants to take that pole position from Jeffrey. Michael Curver still sitting in pole. Michael Curver's also about to finish his qualifying lap. He's got a bit of rear damage there. Could that affect his lap time and could potentially cost him that pole position? You have got Thomas Erzen then about to cross the line. As we now tick 0 minutes left in the session, he can't improve. Michael Curvers doesn't improve. Can Alan take that second place, the final place on the front row of the grid? No, yes, he can actually. He takes that second from Matteo Santini. Really strong lap time by him. We'll try and keep an eye on the grid. See Alan finishing his lap. Matteo Santini has got a little bit of a way to go before he can finish his lap time. Martin Palm in the C7R, a really strong driver in the GT3s as well as the Caymans. Can he cause an upset here? Goran actually making his way up into 14th place, out qualifying Joe Sutton by really not that much, which shows how close a racing this actually is. As we'll come to Matteo Santini, who's coming through the final few set of corners to finish his qualifying lap. Will he be able to retake that second position from Alan Rosick as he now rounds the final corner? He's only got the hill and the straight to go. He's only got to find 600ths of a second. Can he do it? No, yes he does actually. He takes second with a 2:05.166. If Michael didn't set a faster lap, that would have taken him out of that pole position. Martin Parr managing to get himself up into 6th place. And Josh Martin actually managing to get himself into 22nd. So really good qualifying by him. And we've only got Alice to finish his qualifying lap. And he stays in 24th. So all in all, some really close qualifying then as we go to a quick advert break before the start of the race.
4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
So then here we are for qualifying. We managed to get the overlay working in between that short break in between race and qualifying. However, we are here for round 2 as the lights will begin to turn on. Engine notes begin to rise. And they are out, and we are green flag racing here at Road America. Bad start there by Chris Melton. And that has caught a few drivers behind as they go too wide down into turn 1. That's contact. That's contact between Goran and Chris Melton, I believe. Which is a big shame. That has sent Goran round in the wrong direction. As we'll come back to the action. Michael Curvers then still holding on to the race lead as the two Shell drivers go side by side. You have then got Martin Parr making his way up into 5th place. Mayo then coming under pressure from Gasper now as they come down the back straight. They are all filtering out 2, 3 abreast almost as they come down the hill. Michael and Matthew gaining a 1.2 second gap to the drivers behind as they now come down the hill. Michael is the driver that leads as they all come piling down. We'll try and keep an eye on the action. Thomas managing to make his way up as Gasper comes under pressure from Simon Geimer as they all are filtering out into single file. As that's contact between Brett and Ignis, and that's put Brett in the wall. As you see, the Ginettas are all out in single file. Josh back in 20th position with Jeffrey just in front, Itamar Yativ behind. As it looks like Yusuf has unfortunately missed out and he has dropped off quite a bit of time. As that's Darren Adams going very wide there on the exit. Zan going side by side with the driver. It was Yusuf. However, they have come back out in single file. You can see here the C7 roar of Goran behind. He's got a lot of Ginetta traffic to try and get past. Callum Friday and Darren Adams are going side by side. A lot of rear damage to that C7R. Darren being stuck on the outside as he goes very wide off. Callum does give him the place back, so I'm not sure whether there may have been contact between the two. As you see, Matteo Santini runs slightly wide there, as all the drivers are coming through single file now. They've got a bit of space to each other. Marjan, a driver who had a very good result last race, he is down in 15th place, I believe. Jeffrey then got a bit of a gap to the Ginettas behind of Josh, Alice and Yusuf. Zan there in 22nd. He's got Goran just behind and Ignas just behind him as well. As he's gone off, just narrowly avoids contact as he now collides with the wall. That's a big piece of contact there between the drivers. Darren Adams then is closing on the rear of Chris Thorpe. He looks to make a move into turn 1. Can he get it done? As he now comes down into turn 1, they are side by side. Darren up the inside. He brakes slightly later and he takes the move. So that puts Darren Adams up into 24th place. Joe Sutton in 16th position. He is closing down on Marjan in front. However, we are going to come to Goran, who is making a move on Alice to try and get past these Ginettas after that first straight collision. As all these Ginetta drivers are all in close proximity to each other. Yusuf looking to make a move on Alice in front, not really able to get close enough to really make a move. Gasper in 7th made a move on Thomas, so that has put him up at 7th as Thomas made a slight mistake on the exit. Hines is going to have to stick it the long way round, and he gets it done. Really good move by him, as Thomas looked like he was coming under pressure from Chris Melton, as Joe Sutton managed to get his way up into 15th place, and Marjan may come under pressure from Simon Geimer. A poor start then by Simon Geimer as he is down in 17th place. Chris Melton is going side by side with Alan now as they come down the back far section. Chris did look to the inside, however Alan managed to brake later and hold on to that 9th position. All chaos here. Zan letting Brett Gray past as he is in the GT2, as Yusuf will now come under pressure from Brett. As Brett looks to go up the inside, yes he can, he gets past nice and cleanly. However, Yusuf is actually looking for a move on the exit. He's not going to be able to get it done just due to the sheer power. Eric Rotting closing down on Chris Melton in front, as he may now come down into turn 1. Third lap then here at Road America, and it's already proving to be pretty chaotic here with that first start incident. Itamar managing to get up into 28th position from a mistake by Anzi. Yusuf is closing down on Zan in front. Zan didn't have the best of races last week at Donington Park GP. However, he's making it better in 22nd, which is 5th overall, which is a really good start for him. Better compared to last week. Alan then closing down on the rear of his name has escaped me. However, Jeffrey allowed Goran past. Will he come under pressure from Josh Martin behind? He's about 3 seconds off. He has got that 458 in front, which could cause him some troubles if he keeps going wide. Alan then goes side by side with Hines through the very long right-hander. Will he be able to make a move around the outside? No, he cannot, and he has to stay in 9th place. Alice, Yusuf and Zam all battling for position. Bit of a bang of doors there between Zan and Yusuf, as Darren Adams actually joins into the mix, so they go 2 by 2 into the left-hander before the long right. It is Zan who leads Yusuf, who leads Alice. However, he's going side by side with Darren Adams as he manages to make a move around the outside. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Well done, my son, as he sticks it around the outside, as Yusuf is there up the inside as well. Thomas making a move up into 12th place as Simon Goma is going side by side with Joe Sutton there, as that's a driver off. That is Hines off into the wall, and that is big damage to that car. One of the drivers then in the pit lane, I'm not sure who that is. That is a red 458. However, we're going to come back to this battle of these four drivers of Darren, Alice and Yusuf. Darren and Alice are going side by side through the final sector. Simon Gaiman now going side by side with Joe Sutton into turn 1. It is Joe Sutton who will take the lead. That is one of the Martini cars of Thomas into the pit lane, as Alice is now going to come under pressure from Darren Adams down the long pit straight. Darren up the inside, Alice round the outside. He is properly getting alongside so he can properly make a move down into turn 1. Will he be able to make it stick? Alice outside. Darren brakes later and he takes the position. However, will Alice be able to get the run out? No, he cannot, as Darren Adams has to go defensive down into turn 2. It is Darren Adams then who holds on to that 19th place. Really good start by him. Josh Martin, he's got Jeffrey up in front. He's got to find about 3 seconds to catch up, which is quite a sizable amount of time. As you see, he is really pushing that car. He was very sideways there through the bottom of the hill. Callum Friday closing on the rear of Anzi, 0.2 seconds separating those two as they come down this long second straight. A lot of long straights here at Road America, as they now go side by side down into the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. Callum managing to hold up the inside, however Anzi is still there and Anzi holds on, so he stays in 25th position. Joe Sutton closing on the rear of Bozo Fui as he makes a move up the inside. Very late move, can he get it done? They are still side by side. Simon Gaiman not that far behind. Unfortunately, he could not get it done, but that would have been a classic move, and a very good one at that. Yusuf and Chris Thorpe are going side by side. Chris managing to get up in front of Yusuf, Josh Martin's new teammate. It is Joe Sutton, Bozo and Simon Gaiman all battling for position. Will Bozo look for a move up the inside? Yes, he does, as they come down the pit straight. Bozo will be up the inside. Can he get it done? He brakes later. However, Joe is not backing out. They are still side by side. Really good driving there by Joe. Not very easy to defend from the outside through there, as Bozo and Simon are now going side by side through turn 2. Nice and clean through there. It is Bozo who holds on to that 12th place, as Simon Gaiman goes very wide on the exit. However, Simon is now back alongside as they come down the straight. Bozo slightly squeezing him out as Simon had to go across the grass. Simon is up the inside through turn 4, and that is him comfortably into 12th place as he chases down Joe Sutton in front. Joe Sutton then in 11th as these all battling. It's a 4-car battle then between Joe, Simon, Bozo and Marjan as they now come down the straight. Simon faked left and looked for a move, however was too far back to really properly make a move, as they now come around the long right-hander. So it is Michael Curvers then who leads to 5 seconds to Matteo Santini. You then have Mattias in 3rd, Thomas Erzen in 4th, and then Martin Palm in 5th. Miha in 6th with Gasper in 7th. Chris Melton in 8th. Eric Rotterdink in 9th. And Mate in 10th. You then got Joe Sutton, Simon Gaiman, Bozo Fui and Marjan Kodeman all in positions 11, 12, 13 and 14 respectively. Goran, after his first lap incident, is there in 15th with some very big damage to that car. The boys are going to be very busy in between the 2 weeks trying to get that car in tip-top condition. Brett Gray in 16th. You've then got Jeffrey leading the Ginettas in 17th with Josh Martin in 18th. Darren Adams then managing to make his way up into 19th, third out of the Ginettas. Does it look like Brett was making a mistake out of that? It's just our timing being off. Alice then in 4th out of the Ginettas, with Itamar Yativ in 5th. Yusuf in 6th, with Chris Thorpe in 7th. Zan Trippen in 8th. Callum Friday in 9th. Anzi in 10th. Hines in 27th. Not sure what he is in terms of Ginettas, as Matches and Matteo Santini are now going to go side by side through the hairpin. Not sure whether Matteo made a mistake there, as Matteo really closed up to the rear of the Italian driver as he makes a mistake out of the long right-hander. That has put Matteo into 2nd place. Fatal mistake there by Matteo Santini. As you can see, just how much time he's losing purely down to that run out he got of that corner, as Simon Geimer is now going to look for a move on Joe Sutton through the exact same corner that Matteo made on Matteo Santini. Unfortunately dropping off from that driver, and he is still there in 12th place. If we carry on going through the order, then you have Anzi in 27th, which I believe is 11th out of the Ginettas. Thomas in 28th, which is about 17th of the GT2s, and then Alan in 29th. So maybe he got involved in a bit of damage, as he's right down there in 29th. Matteo Santini then is in a Shell Porsche 911 RSR sandwich, as we will ride on board with Thomas Erzen, so you can just hear this car scream. Really love this community sound mod. One of the big advantages of Assetto Corsa, just the amount of mod support there is. Take the Ginetta for example, completely made by Fordman for the community, completely free of charge, and it creates great racing such as this, as well as many other mod developers, such as the person who made this track, which allows us to race here today. Martin Palm then managed to get his way up into 5th in the C7R. He has got Miho behind, and he has shown that he can make quite a few good results. As you see now coming through the long right-hander. Joe Sutton then was slowly closing on the rear of Simon Geimer, as he may now come under pressure from Bozo behind. Doesn't look like he's really able to close enough of a gap. However, he got an exceptional run there out of the right-hander and has allowed the gap to really close in between the two. Pardon me. As they now come down into this really fast section. The C7 really has the straight line speed over these drivers. As you see, really crackling under the brakes as Joe Sutton makes a slight mistake there on the exit. Thankfully that is tarmac rather than gravel on the outside, otherwise that could have been goodbye 11th. Talking of Joe Sutton, his teammate Chris Melton there in 8th position. Really good driving by him. He did get involved in that start collision, however he's managed to make his way up into 8th. If you do wish to sign up to this GT2/GT4 Multi-class league, or the MX5 Championship League, which is running every other week when this is not running, it is completely free of charge, and you can sign up at www.core-racing.co.uk, and you can be having a whale of a time here racing these cars in such close proximity that they do, as Zan is now letting Hines drive past in the C7R. All of these drivers are very clean and very honest. We had a word with Luca, who unfortunately couldn't make it this weekend, and he actually made it a steward's inquiry about himself, creating a bit of an incident between him and another driver, which just shows how honest the drivers are and how they like it to be clean and fair between all the drivers. As Itamar is now closing on to the rear of Alice. He did look to make a move into turn 2, unfortunately couldn't properly get the move done. As you see, as they come down into the turn 4 or turn 3 or 4, however you consider it, as there is a couple of turns down that straight. However, they are only minor, as Hines is managing to work his way up through the Ginettas now, as he gets his way up into 23rd. As Alice is now coming under pressure from Itamar up the inside. Itamar nice and cleanly through. Very good move by him. And that has put him up into 20th place. The gap between Jeffrey and Josh is slowly closing between the two. Josh was about 2/10 faster that last lap, so the gap is slowly closing between the two, so hopefully he will be able to close in. We've got about 18 laps, 19 laps remaining then here at Road America, as the drivers are coming down through the bottom of the hill. It is Michael who leads Matt Yeh and Matteo Santini and Thomas Erzen, as well as Martin Palm in 5th. However, he's being closed in by Miha behind. Miha has been setting really good lap times. He was a whole second faster than Martin Palm that last lap. He is really pushing that car. As you see, down into the left-hander before the long right under the Speedville Bridge. Really love the sound of this car. It really screams, and it really never gets old, as he is trying his best to chase down Martin Palm in front. You've then got Gasper, who's not that far behind. He's about 2 seconds off, with Chris Melton in 8th. Eric Rotterdink in 9th. It's been a pretty quiet race from him, as well as Matt A in 10th. You've then got Simon Geimer and Joe Sutton in 11th and 12th, with Bozo Fue. I'm not sure, I've probably completely butchered that pronunciation, in 13th. Then got Marjan Kodman in 14th and Goran in 15th, as Yusuf is beginning to close down on Alice in front, as they now come through the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. As that is Miha managing to get... no, I believe that was a timing error actually. It looked like Miha was able to jump up a position, however he's still there in 6th and chasing down Martin Palm in front. See Martin Palm then leading Miha to Gasper. A lot of the gaps are about 2 seconds now, as the drivers are on their 10th lap. Joe Sutton closing in on Simon Geimer in front. Simon got a bit of front damage there to the front of that M3 GT2, as they now come down the straight. Will Joe Sutton be able to make a move at the bottom of the hill? No, he cannot, and he stays in 12th. He looks to chase down Simon Geimer in front. As we come to Miha managing to make a move on Martin Palm. Martin up the inside, however, through the long right-hander. Backs out, however, as Miha closes the door in his face. And that puts Miha into the top 5. Martin has got a cracking run, however, out of the long right-hander. As we were going to go to Heinz average, just overtaking lapped cars, so we'll concentrate on this battle as they come down the back straight. Will Miha have to go defensive? Martin did look to make a move, unfortunately wasn't really close enough to properly get alongside, so he has to stay in 6th place. Joe Sutton then closing on the rear of Simon Geimer. 0.3 seconds as they come down into the right-hander, not being able to get past. Yusuf closing on the rear of Alice now as they go side by side down this long straight. Will he be able to make a move? It looks like he is up alongside. However, Alice has made it a crazy drive. Very nearly banged doors in between the two, as Mathieu is into the pit lane. So he is one of the first drivers to pit. As Joe Sutton and Simon Geimer go side by side down into turn 1. Simon brakes as late as he dares and he drives right round the outside. Joe still up the inside. Simon has got a cracker of a run out of turn 1. However, he could come under pressure through turn 2. Simon giving him as much space as he needs, and he is up still into 10th place. And with these two battling, it has allowed Bozo to catch up to the rear of these two drivers. As we will come to Josh and Jeffrey. Actually, Josh is closing down. He was quite a sizable amount of time faster that last lap. About 5/10 faster that last lap. Will he be able to be any faster this lap? Yes, he does. He goes 2:13.9. Really strong lap. So he is still 2/10 faster than Jeffrey. So Jeffrey is really pushing the car. But every time he does, Josh just responds with an even faster lap time, which I believe is one of the fastest lap times out of the Ginettas, which is really strong by him. As Mihar is now making a move on Matteo Santini, and that puts him up into 3rd place. Really easy move by him. So maybe it was a mistake from Matteo Santini. We'll have a look at the lap times to see whether it was. However, Matteo may come under pressure from Martin Palm behind. He has got some front damage there, as well as a cracked windscreen, which makes visibility very poor, as it looks like Martin Palm may go for a move. No, Matteo dives into the pit lane, so we will definitely not be able to check. However, he has dived in, so it doesn't matter, which puts a lot of the drivers up a few positions. Joe Sutton then closing on the rear of Simon Geimer yet again. Will he look for a move into turn 1? He done it last lap. Will he do it this lap? He is right on the rear of the M3 GT2 as he now gets alongside down the pit straight. They are side by side down into turn 1. Joe brakes as late as he dares this time and gets up into 9th place. Really good move by him. You see, a bit of a lock up there by Simon Geimer. Expected the driver to get up past a lot sooner, and he had to avoid a collision as Bozo breezes past nice and easily. As we will come to Darren Adams and Itamar Yativ. Will Itamar be able to jump up into the inside through the right-hander? He's right on the rear. Darren Adams has to go defensive. And yes, Darren Adams does hold on to the position. However, that's a cracker of a run out by Itamar Yativ. Will he be able to make it up the inside for the final turn? They are still side by side, as they now know he cannot. And Itamar has to stay in 22nd position. Simon Geimer closing on the rear of Bozo Fui now, as they come through the hairpin. Itamar and Darren are going side by side down into turn 1. Itamar up the inside. Will Darren be able to hold it around the outside and hold on to his 21st place? They come down into the first turn. Both brake at about the same point and they both stay side by side. However, it is Itamar who edges out slightly in front. If Darren can make a move, stick around the outside. No, he cannot, and Darren slots down into 22nd position. As Simon Geimer and Bozo Fui now go side by side down into the final turn. Bit of contact between the two. However, nothing major, and Simon still sits in 11th. So if we have a look at the tyre options, then you have the super soft, mediums and hard tyres for the GT2s, which all vary in grip, with the super soft being the grippiest and the softest. However, they do wear out the fastest. We do have Michael on the softs, and then all drivers from 2nd down to 10th on the medium tyres, with Simon Geimer on the softs. You then have Marjan on the hard tyre, and which is a different option, so he may be looking to get a no-stop strategy. Matthias and Brett are on the mediums, with Matteo Santini on the softs. After his pit stop, he is down in 14th. Eric Rotterdink on the mediums in 15th. Goran on mediums in 16th, who is now in his pit box. And then with the Ginettas, you can only take those hard tyres, as Josh weirdly bangs into the pit wall on the way in, as he now comes into the pit lane. Will he get a change of tyres, or will he just look to refuel? We'll have to wait and see. As you see, the boys are going to work on that Ginetta, trying to get the best pit stop that they can, looking to hopefully beat the Williams F1 pit stop record in the F1. Obviously it's a lot longer to do on these closed wheel cars, as Matteo Santini now goes side by side with Brett Gray as they come down into the left-hander. Matteo Santini up the inside, bit of contact there, however they both end back out in the straight line. Will Matteo be able to run round the outside? He's sticking it there. However, Brett holds on to 13th place. Martin Palm then closing on the rear of Miha as he looks to make a dive down into turn 1. Miha looking to go defensive. He doesn't have to, as Martin isn't close enough to really make a move. However, will he look to make a move down into turn 2? Do you see coming down into turn 2? As Bozo was able to get past Simon Geimer, I believe, unless if that's another error with our timing. As they now come down the the second straight, sorry, not the pit straight. Martin Palm trying his best to close down on the driver in front. So after Josh's pit stop, he has been released out in 24th, as he is behind his teammate down in 23rd place. He has got a driver of Miha and Martin Palm behind, so could we see the blue flag coming into play and potentially harming his efforts to try and gain some positions. Eric Rotterdink closing on the rear of Brett Gray now as they come down the second straight. Eric looking for a move up the inside. No, he can't get it done and has to stay in 14th position. So they now come through the top of the hill. The drivers are really spaced out now as Michael is looking for a move on Itamar Yativ as he actually dives into the pit lane. Will we see Thomas follow? Yes, we do. We could even see Miha follow as well, as they are caught in traffic. A little bit of a mistake there. The Ginetta and Miha diving into the pit lane. Martin Palm staying out on those medium tyres, as a lot of the drivers are now coming in as it is the midway through the race. We'll try and pay attention to any drivers that stay out. Mate stays out. We will see a big jostle of positions as Mate and Margin now go side by side. And Mate now gets up in front of Marjan. Eric Rotterdink going side by side with Brett Gray. It's going to be a crazy move if he can make it stick as he looks for a move up the inside. No, he cannot and has to stay out on the outside. Marjan then closing on the rear of Matyas. I'm very terrible at pronouncing these names. And you see Jeffrey closing actually on the rear of one of these GT2s, unless if Hines passed quite recently. And Jeffrey is yet to pit stop. You see a lot of the drivers as Alan is now going side by side with Yusuf. Yusuf in the Ginetta. He dived into the pit lane in that last lap. Eric then trying to close on the rear of Brett Gray again as they come down the second straight. They are side by side now. Will Eric be able to run round the outside? He's a long way round that way. He does get the cutback. What a good move. Can he get it done into the hairpin? Yes, he can. Really strong move then by Eric Rotterdink to get up into 11th place. Really good move by him. As there's Matteo Santini now also looking for a move on Brett Gray up the inside. They both give each other plenty of space. Brett is forced right across the curb. However, he's got the inside for the long right-hander. Matteo going to be stuck right around the outside. It's a long way to go. As you see, Brett really comfortably takes back that 12th place. Really nice and easy move by him. If we have a look at that replay, hopefully, as we'll actually continue focusing as Matteo looked to make a move on Brett Gray, and he gets up the inside. Really good move by him as Gasper, Mija and Chris Melton all battling for position, as Martin Palm now dives into the pit lane, as well as Matt A and Bozo Sui. However, we come to Gasper and Mija. They go side by side down the pit straight. Mija going to be up the inside. They are in 8th place as they come down into turn 1. Gasper brakes slightly later. They are very close to each other. However, managed to avoid contact. Gasper running very wide through turn 1. And Mija should be able to hold on to the inside. However, Gasper is running very well around the outside. And he actually takes that 5th position right around the outside. Really good move by him. As we come down to these drivers coming down, it is Chris Melton who goes side by side with Mija. Actually, Mija going up the inside of Gasper and gets the move. Nicely done. He takes the move back and goes, "I'll take that, thank you very much." As Chris Melton is now looking for a move on Gasper, up the inside, up through the hill, lock up by Gasper, and that puts Chris Melton up into 6th place and is now looking to make a move on Mija. Really chaotic between those front runners. You see through the bottom of the hill. We'll have a look at that replay through turn 1. As you saw, Mija getting it up the inside, and it was all a big jostle of positions between all of them. And it ended out being a really good move then through turn 1, as Chris Melton is closing on to the rear of Mija down this pit straight. As he looks to make a move up the inside, no he cannot, and he actually loses a bit of time. So we will come to Jeffrey and Josh Martin. I believe Jeffrey pitted that last lap then, as he done a 2:38, unless if he made a mistake. Josh has got 14 seconds to try and gain, as Matteo is closing on to the rear of Eric Rotterdink as they come down the pit straight. There is a back runner of Yusuf, which cost Matteo from probably getting up the inside. However, he managed to stay in the slipstream for long enough as he goes up the inside into turn 1. He brakes as late as he dares, and he takes that 8th place from Eric Rotterdink. Really good move by him, as Chris Melton lost a position to Gasper in front. He does try to get back past, as Michael Curvers is closing on to the rear of Matt Ye now. So it looked like maybe Michael made a slight mistake somewhere, unless if he has just come into the pit lane. And as that's a mistake by Mathieu. Really big mistake from him. Looked like it just ran a little wide, which has cost him, and he is now facing backwards as he comes across the track. Thankfully there is no one coming, otherwise that could have ended very badly. Again, we'll have to have a look at that to see what really happened. It looked like he had ran a little too wide, which cost him the race lead. And you saw he was with Michael Curvers. You see, he ran nicely in, he got nicely on the curb, and then he just dipped a couple of wheels and the car was unsettled and he ended up facing the wrong way, which is never the best thing to do. As we come to Gasper closing on the rear of Miha now for 5th position. About 10 laps remaining here at Road America as Gasper is closing down on Miha in front. It's got a bit of time, 0.2 seconds as they come through the final turn. Will he be able to get an exceptional run? He's got damage to the left side of that car. He hasn't got the best of runs. He is losing a bit of time to that 911 RSR in front as they come down the pit straight. Doesn't look like he's really going to be able to properly make a move. .2 seconds then separating them as they come down into turn 2. Gasper, as that's a mistake then by Miha. Maybe a slight bit of contact between the front of Gasper and the rear of Miha. However, they are now side by side down the second straight. Gasper going to have the inside for the left-hander of turn 3 as they now come down. Bit of lap traffic, that's going to make it awkward. Lock up from Miha, and that puts Gasper up into 5th. Very clean move. As Chris Melton is now going to look for a move on Miha. He's going to have to go the long way round. Almost making it 3 abreast as they come into the top of the hill. Jeanette is really not making it easy for the cars to battle in close proximity. There they are. Miha now going to look for a move on Gasper. Gasper placing his car right in the middle of track and going to the Tim Harvey School of Driving and sticking his elbows out. As Eric closes on to Chris Melton as well. So it's all heating up here. You've got two-car battles all within close proximity as well. Darren Adams then up the inside of these drivers, which doesn't make it easy for these to pass. Chris Melton slightly met him mid-corner, which didn't make it easy. Miha closing on to the rear of Gasper as they come down the pit straight. You've got the Ginetta of Itamar Yativ up the inside. He's going to try and get out of the way. As Miha now dives up the inside. Gets the move nicely done. And gets up into 5th place. However, that was quickly grabbed back by Gasper. As they now come through the final turn. Will Eric look for a move through the final turn? No, Miha looked like he was going side by side with Gasper. However, they're now coming down the pit straight. You've got Gasper, Miha, Matteo Santini, Chris Melton and Eric Rotterding all battling for 5th position. Miha right in the slipstream of Gasper as he now pops out to make a move into turn 1. Miha up the inside. Who will brake later? It is Miha. And he takes that 5th position. However, Gasper is driving right round the outside. And he nearly holds it around the outside. However, Miha manages to get up as he brakes a lot later into the right-hander. As he runs wide, very nearly ending up pointing the wrong direction. He didn't get the best of run, and that does allow Matteo Santini to really close onto the back down the second straight. Matteo going to have the inside of Gasper. This does allow Miha to gain about a second in front. And it does put Matteo Santini into 6th before the braking zone, which should mean he is comfortably in that position. So out of 3 corners, Gasper lost 2 positions and could potentially lose another one from Chris Melton in 8th. As he now comes down into the right-hander before the bottom of the hill. 0.2 then between Gasper and Chris Melton. And you've got Eric Rodstink not that far behind. Simon Geimer closing down on Mate, Gasper's teammate. As you have a Ginetta of Alice up the inside. Nearly said in the front, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Simon Geimer really trying to close down on these drivers in front. Gasper on the rear of Matteo Santini. He's hungry to get back to that 5th position. Miha is feeling quite comfortable as these all battle behind. Gasper did look for a move on Matteo Santini. Unfortunately, couldn't really get anything done. As Simon Geimer is right on the rear of Mate as they come down into the braking zone. Simon up the inside. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. can. He is up into 11th. As Matteo got a slight twitch there on the exit, and that puts Simon up into 11th place. So it is Miho who leads Matteo, who leads Gasper to Melton to Rotterdam with 8 laps remaining here. Michael Curver's in the lead. He's got about 8 seconds to Thomas Erzen behind, which is quite a sizable gap. You've then got Matteo in 3rd with Martin Palm in 4th, as Gasper is now looking for a move on a driver. It looked like he was going for Matteo Santini. However, he's now coming under pressure from Chris Melton, who's also coming under pressure from Eric Rotterdink. Could we see them go 3 wide down into the turn 3? Looks like Eric is going to think better of it as Chris Melton is looking up the inside as he locks up. He runs very wide through the hairpin, and that costs him 1 position. It costs him 2 positions to both Eric and Gasper, so a big jostle of positions between them. So it is Miho who still leads Matteo to 1.6 seconds, to Gasper, to Eric, to Chris, and then Joe Sutton not that far behind, who is Chris's teammate. Pardon me. And you see Eric trying to get up the inside of Gasper. Have a Gasper managing to run out of the corner as they go side by side through the long right-hander. And Gasper is back into 7th as Eric comes under pressure from Chris Melton behind, as they now come down the very fast sector, or the very fast section, as we come to Chris Melton, who's trying to make a move on Eric in front. He looks to go up in the inside, doesn't properly get alongside and decides to back out. Drivers running very wide through there, trying to get the best of run as they can, as all of these are battling for that final position, for those final few points. Obviously it is the opening rounds here, so points aren't a massive factor. Obviously it helps, and you want to get as many points as you can. Yusuf trying to close on to the rear of Alice, as you have lapped traffic of, I believe that is Marjan, or it may be Mate. No, it is Marjan, sorry. As Chris Melton is going side by side with Eric. Eric running very wide through turn 1. And Chris Melton gets up into 8th position. Really good going by him, as he is up into 8th. Could he come under pressure from Eric down into turn 3? He pops out of the slipstream to make a move. He's up the inside into turn 3. They've both got plenty of space. Eric did get up alongside. However, Chris got the better run out up the hill, and Chris is into 8th. Slight bit of a lock up there as Chris runs very wide on the exit up the hill, and that puts Eric up into 8th. That just shows the slightest of mistakes can really play a massive factor. Obviously, with this being 28 laps at 2 minutes a lap, or 2 minutes 10 a lap, it's about an hour race, and fatigue does come into play. Alan was going side by side. Alice was going side by side with Alan. Very similar names. However, Alan in the Porsche 911 RSR is going to easily get up in front. Josh Martin in 20th. He is lapping a lot quicker than Jeffrey. About 8/10 that last lap. He's got to find 13 odd seconds though if he wants to catch up, which is more than a second a lap, which is not very easy to do. He is really pushing that car to the limit. You can just see how much track he was using. So the drivers are beginning to space out. The closest battle is between Gasper and Matteo Santini as they come down into turn 1. Gasper going to be holding on to that 7th position, as Matteo is going to be driving the 911 like it is a bus and trying to make it as difficult for Gasper to pass, with only 6 more laps remaining here in the race. It's all or nothing essentially, as you haven't got that much time to make a move, as Gasper is now looking for a move up the inside of Matteo Santini. They are side by side as they now come on down into turn 3. It is Matteo who goes up the inside. Gasper does look to get the run out, unfortunately couldn't get it done, and Matteo holds on to that 6th place as they come up the top of the hill. 0.5 seconds then separating the two as they come on down into the right-hander after the top of the very steep hill. Very easy to lose control of the car as it crests that hill. You have got the driver of Josh Martin in front, obviously being lapped traffic as they now come down through the long right-hander. 0.2 between Gasper and Matteo Santini. Closest battle on track between the two. 0.2 seconds as they come down into the right-hander. As we actually come to Itamar Yativ, who got overtaken by Allen. So we will come back to Gasper, who's going side by side with Matteo Santini up the inside. He locks the front right. He's very sideways, managing to hold it, however, and he has to settle for 7th place. Which is a bit of a shame. Eric trying to make his way past Josh Martin to get up in 8th and try and chase down these two drivers up in front. You've then got Chris Melton and Joe Sutton not that far behind either. Josh trying to just take some of the slipstream from the 458 in front as Gasper and Matteo Santini go side by side down into turn 1. Gasper brakes as late as he dares and he gets up into 6th. Really good move. Miha is right down the road. I doubt they'll be able to challenge him as Matteo is now looking for a move on the inside of Gasper. He is there. Unfortunately couldn't get it properly alongside and has to stay in 7th. Matteo Santini is on the soft and is on the faster tyre. However, they will begin to wear off now, where they will begin to be slower. Matteo then going side by side with Gasper down into turn 3. Gasper does brake later, however Matteo is up the inside and he should have the inside for this left hander and should hold on to that 6th position, which he has done, which is really good going by him. Chris Melton and Joe Sutton not far behind Eric, who's not far behind the two in front, so this could turn into a 5-car battle, which will make it very interesting indeed. 0.2 seconds between Chris and Eric Rotterdink as they come through the long right-hander. 0.2 then between the two as we'll come to Gasper and Matteo. As if Gasper makes a move, we can also see if Chris Melton makes a move in the background, which he does pop out to do, as well does Gasper. Gasper looking for the inside, Chris also looking to follow. As Gasper, bit of contact between the two, very sideways for Gasper, and could Eric Rotterdink capitalise on both of these? No, he cannot. He does gain quite a considerable amount of time as Gasper and Matteo go side by side down into the final turn. It's all heating up then. Gasper up the inside of Matteo Santini. Matteo won't have the best of run out, as you see Eric is now looking to go up the inside. He will be in the slipstream of Matteo Santini. He pops back to the C7R of Gasper, who is slightly in front of Matteo Santini. You can see about half a car length in front as they come down. Could we see them go 3 wide into turn 1? It is Matteo and Gasper going side by side. Gasper brakes slightly later. Matteo up the inside. Then Eric, then Chris, and then Joe. So it's all heating up. Chris now looking for a move on Eric Rotterdink up the inside. And will his teammate of Joe Sutton follow through? No, he cannot. However, Chris Melton does get up into 9th place. In the meantime, Yusuf closing on the rear of Alice as they come down the pit straight. 4 laps remaining then here at Road America. We'll come back to this 5-car battle between Gasper, Matteo, Chris, Eric and Joe Sutton. Joe looking for a move up the inside. Big lock up as that's contact. That's contact between the front runners. Has put Gasper down into 9th place. Hopefully we caught that on the replay. As I was focusing on the drivers behind us, Thomas is now looking for a move on Hines up the inside in the black Martini car. He locks up the front right and that allows Hines to get back up the inside and into 17th place. Chaos then just occurred as we will hopefully have a look at that replay then. Hopefully we caught it, I'm not sure, as that was big contact between the two drivers. So it was Matteo Santini just outbraked himself and unfortunately caught the rear of Gasper in front, which sent Gasper around and in the wrong direction, as Joe Sutton is closing onto the rear of Eric Rotterdink, as there is just a few tenths separating the two. As they now come down through the final sector, he has dropped off slightly, however. As they now come down through the right-hander, Bozo Fui in the just behind Marjan. As they come down through the final sector, Darren Adams actually closing on the rear of Itamar Yativ. You've got Janko up the inside. Could that help Darren Adams? Does look like he's still right on the rear of Itamar Yativ. I believe that is Goran up the inside of Itamar, and it looks like Darren may look to try and follow. No, he cannot. And Itamar is looking to go right round the outside. So unfortunately, due to that lap traffic, Darren Adams has unfortunately dropped off a little bit, as Bozo is now closing on the rear of Marjan. As they now come down into turn 1. 3 laps then remaining here at Road America. Joe Sutton closing on the rear of Eric Rotterdink yet again. So actually, after that big contact between Matteo Santini and Gasper, it is Chris Melton who managed to get himself up into 6th, followed by Eric and then Joe. Gasper managed to only drop himself down into 8th. And unfortunately, Matteo Santini has had to pit, so he's down in 16th place with only 3 laps remaining. Darren Adams then in 23rd is closing back on the rear of Itamar Yativ. As you see, Itamar having to go defensive. Darren not being able to properly get up the inside. And he has to settle for that 23rd position, which is 5th overall in the Ginettas. Big sideways moment for Itamar mid-corner there, and that has allowed Darren to really close up actually through that corner. As you see, as he really closes up through that entire throughout that small section, as he gets it up alongside. No, he cannot, and he is still in that 5th position. Marjan unfortunately ran wide, and that allowed Bozo to get up past, as we'll actually come back to Darren Adams and Itamar Yativ. Itamar holding on for dear life. It is Michael Curvers who still leads then out of everyone in the GT2s and the GT4s, obviously. As Darren and Itamar now go side by side. Itamar up the inside. Yes. No, he is not. So Darren managed to hold on to that 22nd before they came into that braking zone. However, Itamar has got a much better run, and he holds on to that 22nd position yet again, and that puts Darren Adams down into 23rd. Really good driving by them. Michael Curvers, he's got 17 seconds to the driver of Thomas Erzin behind. You've then got Bat Yaz in 3rd, who is closing down the driver in front. Not that much, he's still a couple of seconds behind. You've then got Martin Palm in 4th, who's had a very good race. As Josh Martin is down in 21st, as he lost a position to Alan, who is obviously in the GT2s, as that was a driver who ran wide. I believe it was Alan, or Anzi, sorry. He is not feeling overly confident in that Ginetta by the looks of things. As we come to Hines and Thomas, as Hines is trying to get back past Thomas for 16th position. Darren Adams closing on the rear of Itamar Yativ. Itamar having to go defensive. Darren Adams slightly mounting the curb on the inside, stays in 23rd, and is really trying to find his way past Itamar Yativ in front. Darren does seem to be so much faster through that sector, however he can't really make a move through this final, or through these corners. So that exceptional run he gets before he can't really use. Matteo Santini managing to get past Jeffrey, so he is now towards the rear of the GT2s and has now got no more GT4s to worry about really. Darren Adams back on the rear of Itamar Yativ as they now come down into the right-hander. Slight dip of the wheels by Itamar, slight bit of contact, very sideways moment for Darren Adams. Itamar managing to use all the exit and get up in front of Darren. 2 more laps then remaining for Michael Curvers. He is closing to these two of Darren Adams and Itamar Yativ in front. As you see, Matthias is closing down on Thomas Erzen. Could we see a team orders coming into play and these two jostling for positions, or will they allow them to battle like Sergio Perez wants Esteban Ocon and himself to battle in the races? Hopefully they won't do what they done throughout the earlier season, like at Vancouver and Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, where they both got caught in a collision twice actually, I believe. So it is Michael Curvers who comes onto his final lap. It will be his final time through turn 1. Then got Thomas Erzen and Matt Yaz in second and third. Joe Sutton closing down on his teammate of Chris Melton. Joe was actually able to get past Eric Rettink to get into 7th position, which is really good for these two drivers compared to what happened at Donington, where both of them didn't have the best of races. Matthias closing down on the rear of Thomas Erzen as they come on down into turn 2. Joe Sutton right on the rear of his teammate of Chris Melton. Point 1 now as they come down into turn 1. We could see them battle for position into turn 1, or could we see some team orders again coming into play? Seems to be a lot of team battles going on here. 0.4 seconds separating the two as we come to Darren Adams trying to chase down Itamar Yativ again. You see coming down Darren Adams now side by side with Itamar Yativ as they come down into the right-hander. Hopefully they won't be caught in contact yet again, which they haven't, as that's big a spin there for one of the drivers. I believe that was Brett Gray. Yes, it was. He's now facing the wrong way as he begins to do some handbrake turns in a Tesco's car park and gets it pointing back in the right direction. Michael Curvers then right on the rear. He's only got a few more corners to go before his race victory is his through the final turn for the final time. He gets it done nice and cleanly, and that is a race victory for Michael Curvers. He will certainly be happy with that. You've then got Thomas Erzen in second, and Matthias was not able to get past, so he stays in third, assuming they can get through the final turn. Martin Palm in fourth, with Miha in fifth, as it looks like Thomas and Matthias was able to get through the final turn, as Martin Palm is finishing in fourth, Miha in fifth. Then you've then got Chris Melton in sixth with the Mel Car Racing 458, and then Joe Sutton, also his teammate, in seventh. As we will come to Darren Adams and Itamar Yativ, both battling for position. They are side by side. Darren Adams around the outside, can he get it done? Yes, he can. You've then got Yusuf also joining in on the action, so it could all heat up then here in the final few corners. Darren managing to drive it around the outside. Bit of a slide there by Itamar, which could cost him another position to Yusuf. Yusuf right on the rear of Itamar now. So Matthias, Miha Looks like unfortunately we can't view over there any of those, but Marjan, Goran, Brett Gray all in 13th, 14th and 15th. You've then got Thomas in 16th, Alan in 17th, Matteo in 18th, Jeffrey in 19th, Josh Martin in 18th, I believe, Matteo Santini 19th, Hines 20th, Jeffrey 21st, Darren Adams 22nd, 23rd. I believe he finished 23rd at a guess. Itamar Yativ in 24th, Yusuf in 25th, and Alice in 25th. You've then got Chris Thorpe in 26th, and then Anzi in 28th. So Chris Thorpe in 27th. So it proved to be pretty chaotic race then here at Road America. Hopefully we'll be able to grab an interview with a few drivers, and hopefully Michael Curvers, your race winner, as well as some of those podium finishers. So we will go to an advert break quickly, and hopefully we'll be able to grab a word with a few of the drivers. So then we have managed to grab a word with Josh Martin. Josh, a second place in the Ginettas, I believe. How did you find that race?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting one, to be honest. The traffic was it was nothing short of horrendous, to be honest. But apart from that, I was pretty happy overall with the result. Obviously second, it's on the podium, but not quite where I wanted it to be. I don't know how Jeffrey managed to finish the race with like half the fuel than me at the second pit stop, but you know, it was yeah, it was an interesting race, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. You was trying your best to close down on Jeffrey in front Was that just your main goal to try and catch up as best as you can?
Yeah, so at the start we lost quite a bit of time to him, which obviously wasn't ideal. And then by the time the pit stops were coming around, I was faster than him, so I went for the undercut, thinking that I'd come out ahead of him. But unfortunately, he pulled out a gap, and towards the end I was closing him down at a second a lap, but there just wasn't enough laps left in the race.
Yeah, definitely. I believe you're racing in the Liga Corsa Ginetta series. Is there a lot of crossover between the two cars, obviously with that being the GT4 Super Cup? Or is it two very different beasts?
Obviously, with it being the Ginetta, it's fairly standard as per. A lot of the racecraft transfers across as well. Obviously, with this one having the multi-class, however, it is slightly different. You got that traffic challenge, whereas at the Liga Corsa, it's not really an issue. So overall, it's good to be racing. It's sim racing, isn't it? So it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. Have you got anything else you want to add?
Not really. Just I guess the championship's going to be heating up. I was hoping for a win this week, but not to be. So maybe in a couple of weeks' time at the next round, I'll be able to get that top step.
Yeah, definitely. We've got your teammate Yusuf here as well. Very good racing there, by Yusuf. So, what originally made you want to join Josh? Or did he approach you, or did you approach him?
Originally, the idea was to. I just wanted to have a team so I could participate in the team championship as well as in the driver's standings. To talk about the race, I think it was an interesting one, but well, I think most of the back markers, especially from GT2, didn't practice enough before the race. So it caused a lot of trouble. To be honest, the traffic was, it was, as Josh said, almost horrendous.
Yeah.
And at the last couple of laps of the race, I tried to close the gap between, I think there was Darren and Itamar in front of me. I tried to close the gap, but the time wasn't enough to take another position.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like you was closing down on those drivers in front. So are you a seasoned veteran when it comes to sim racing, or is this one of your first major sim racing leagues?
I used to race a lot at race department. There I joined club races, and I don't know how much time, about 900-ish hours in Assetto Corsa.
Quite a few then. Well, very well done in that race, and we look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, 0.5 or 0.6 seconds faster than the guys in front of me, but I spun out at one point, and I felt like game over there, and that was a really bad idea for me to think like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's not very easy to carry on driving when you have those negative thoughts. Well, very well done in that race. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Making it a race victory.
And thank you for the broadcast and interview. Thank you.
That's alright. And hopefully we can see you and Josh taking that team championship. So we also have Darren Adams here then. Darren, how are you finding the car this season?
Great. I love the Ginettas. I've loved them right since the first time I tried them, and on other sims, just a great race car.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like you were closing down to the driver of Itamar Yativ in front. Did you find it difficult to pass? Was he driving very well, or could you just not have the pace?
To start with, I didn't quite have the pace on him. He caught me up before the pit stop, and I was trying to think of some way I could use the pit stop to my advantage, but I couldn't figure anything out. So after leading him for a few laps, I think it was starting to slow both of us down, us battling, and I thought maybe I was towing him around. So I decided to pit before him, and then when he came out, he had obviously done a couple of fast laps and he had a couple of seconds gap. But then somehow my pace improved, or his didn't, and I closed the gap slowly on him until we had an epic finale. The last 4 or 5 laps, I passed him and then he passed me, and then on the last lap we were battling really closely while I think it was Yusuf who was catching us, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought it was a GT2 that was also trying to lap us. So I was eyes glued to the mirrors and still trying to not make mistakes. So it was pretty hectic, and really happy to come out with I think that was a class podium in the end. So that was an important fight to win.
Yeah, definitely. I believe you are racing in the MX5 Cups as well.
Yeah, and I actually had an incident with Itamar in the last round of that. So we've been battling quite a lot over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. With obviously that MX5 being quite a low-powered car, do you find that that's helping with your driver skill as such to try and refine your skills, or is it two completely different beasts and you sort of have to treat them very differently?
I think the MX5 maybe takes a little bit more finesse to get the most out of it. I'm quite far off in pace, the guys in front of me. But the guys at the front today, I got to within a few tenths of them by the end of the race. I probably just need to do a bit more practice, and so I'm doing that kind of pace at the start rather than at the finish. But I've just started racing in VR now as well, and that was my first one of these multi-class races in VR, so that was quite nerve-wracking, getting used to using the real mirrors and the views of what's coming behind you, and the apps aren't all quite so easy to see in VR, so everything's just taken a little bit of adjustment.
Yeah, definitely. If you do want to send over a set of VR, that would be very nice. But very well done then in that podium in the Ginettas, and hopefully you can make it another one and maybe even a race victory in the future.
Here's hoping. Thanks, Thomas.
That's very welcome. So then that was the action from the second round of the Slo-Racing and Core Racing GT2 and Ginetta GT4 Multiclass. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next round. Goodbye.